Morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you've had a good week so far. Lovely. I love the preemptive message, William. Thanks for that. Cool. This week I want to pick up where we left off last week. But before we get there, just two announcements to make. First is regarding the App Academy. It was supposed to launch next week, Tuesday, which was I think the 8th of April, but it's been pushed back 2 weeks now. So the launch date will instead be on the 22nd of April. So keep an eye out for that. If you haven't signed up already for that, I highly recommend that you do. And encourage your fellow students to enroll as well. Remember, it's a completely free workshop. You can sign up, you can drop off at any time you want. There's no compulsion. So yeah, just encourage anyone and everyone who is interested in app development to attend. It's a nice entry point into the field for anyone who, for those that are already in the industry. It's a lovely way to network, to meet more like-minded individuals, and to upskill yourself with some new content that's been covered there. For those that are not into app development but are interested in getting in, there's no better place. It's this short, intense workshop. It'll give you a feel for everything, and it's going to introduce you to a lot of concepts very, very quickly, right? So it's just going to give you a little taste of everything. So it's a fantastic opportunity. So invite one and all to attend. It's completely free, and it is international, William. We're expecting participants from all over the African continent. Marketing is actively being done in quite a few African countries. So yeah, it's going to be this exciting event. Even if you don't complete it all the way through to the end, it's still going to be lovely just to hop in and participate. So yes, jump in and sign up. Uh, who is sponsored the program? So this year's App Academy is sponsored by FNB, the First National Bank. Cool. Now, the second announcement, and this is the best news that I have received in a long, long time. Um, so on Monday, we received a batch of about 180-ish certificates from the CETA, which was this. Oh, I was so excited when I got that email. For those of you who don't know, Monday was even Eid, right? Which is like the Islamic version of Christmas. It's a day of festivities. There's, you families exchange gifts between one another. And the CETA gave us the best gift I could have ever asked for, which was 170 of our students' certificates. Some of these students were waiting for quite some time also, and finally we got them. So we've already started to send those out. Um, there's still quite a few. There's about, I think now, 50 or so certificates outstanding, but hopefully we'll get those in relatively short time. But it was just a huge, huge breakthrough that we managed to get such a big batch all at once. And yeah, I was so excited that day. The excitement of getting that email, kind of, even though it was Eid, that email outshined the excitement for the rest of the day just because of what it meant for our students. So I'm not sure if anyone in this email, yeah, anyone currently in the webinar was included in that batch. I'll just double check. But if you were, then yeah, within the next couple of days, you'll receive an email from us regarding that. And if you haven't, or if you weren't included in that batch, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll get yours as well. But yeah, it's good that we have some solid momentum now in terms of getting our certificates. Cool. All right. And with that, let's jump into today's topic, which was basically just a continuation of where we left off last week. So let me just share my screen. There we are. All right. Just let me know in the chat if you can see that. Yeah, let me know if you can see my screen. You can see the VS Code window that I have opened up. Lovely. All right, cool. So last week, I was trying to set up Prettier to show you how that works in terms of automatically formatting your code, and I just could not get it to work. Until now, I have no idea why, right? Immediately after last week's webinar, I created another test project, and it worked flawlessly. Until now, actually, when I go back to that project I was demoing during the webinar, it refuses to work. I have no idea why that specific project or that project folder just would not work with Prettier. But everywhere else, on every other project I've tested on, it works perfectly. So I've reset everything to the defaults, right? So once you install Prettier, this is basically where you are going to be. Now this is again the Pine City Zoo index file. And you can see I've messed up the formatting a little bit, right? There's no consistency in how anything is laid out here. The indenting is all off. There's some unnecessary lines all over the place. It's ugly, right? This is actually how some people write code, by the way. So just don't be one of those. But in case you are, Prettier is the application for you. So when you install Prettier, it'll be configured where you can right click, go to format document with, and click on Prettier code formatter. And it'll automatically clean up everything for you, right? So you can see it adjusted the indenting to make it more consistent. It removed the unnecessary lines that I've had here and there. And it's even added some spaces at the end of, or some line breaks at the end of these extra long lines to put them onto, to make them go across multiple lines. So it's a little bit easier to read, right? And I can adjust the code anyhow. I can again make those spaces, I can add lines, not worrying about formatting, but as soon as I go in to right click and say format with Prettier, it will clean it up. But that's not a very efficient way of doing it, right? So every time you want to format your code, you're gonna have to do this whole that whole process, right? And you might even forget to do it at times. So ideally, you'd like it to run automatically, right? To format your code automatically, which is entirely possible with Prettier. So what you would do is you'd go to settings and search for format up here, right? And you'll see this option here, this checkbox, format on save, right? Check that. Uh, so once you check that, that basically is going to do exactly what it says. Instead of you having to right click and say format with pretty every time, now whenever you save, it will format automatically. Oh, wait, before you actually go and test this, your default formatter here, it might be set to the default. Just make sure it's set to prettier. So mine was already set to prettier. Set that to prettier and then click on format on save. So now if I were to go back to my code and I again ruin the formatting here and there, whenever I hit save, it's gonna automatically format it. So that is a much more efficient way of doing it, because saving is something you do regularly and something you have to do when you're coding. So the best possible outcome is that every time, or the best possible workflow is every time you save, your code is automatically formatted for you. Uh, William asked, do you still have the file that you were using last week for which Prettier didn't work? I don't think so. I think I deleted that little environment that I had. But I can recover it if you want to try and see if you can get it going. I can recover it from my recycle bin. Cool. Now, the nice thing about Prettier, right, is that it's highly customizable in the format that you can have it, or in the format that you can have it format your code with, right? So I'll be completely honest, this is the default that Prettier comes with, and I don't exactly like it. I find that it's still a little bit difficult to read, right? For one, the indents are way too small, right? It's using, I think, like space bars or 2 space bars or something for indents, whereas I prefer using tabs, right? I feel like it just makes it a lot easier to read. With Prettier, you can customize it and you can tell Prettier to format your code using tabs as indents instead of space bars. And there's a number of ways to do it. One is you can do it from the settings, but the easier way to do it, or the better way to do it rather, is through a file that we place here. So I'm going to open up the Prettier wiki, right? All of this information is here for those that want to go through it. And you'll see that, okay, so this is a page of options, right? This is all the different options that you can tell Prettier to, you can configure to have Prettier format your code differently. So everything from line width to what it's using for the indents to automatically fill in brackets for you and things like that. All of those options are here. If you're using Prettier, go through this page and experiment with a few of things. But to add any of these changes or to toggle any of these, you can do it via a configuration file, right? So what you do is we'll use this option here. It's quite a hectic page. There's quite a lot going on. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I'm going to simplify it for you as much as possible, but all we're doing is we're going to create a file, a JSON file with this name, and all of our options are going to live in that file. So it's as simple as going to your project, creating a new file, giving it that name. So it's .prettierrc. And this is very important. The extension is a .json file, like that. All right. Let me see if I can actually increase the size of that so you can see a little bit better. There we go, right? So we created this file and you create it right in the root folder of your project. Now in here, you can add in some of those options to customize the way Prettier is going to format your code, right? So to do that, what you'll do is, I know you guys haven't did a lot of JSON in the course, but it's quite simple, right? You're just going to have your open and closed curly braces and open them, and that is the format for this page. Now, just on every line here, we'll have a different option. So the first option I'd like to change, right? What I mentioned that I don't like how small these indents are. So I want to change that. I want to have Prettier make those indents a little bit bigger. Quite easy to do. We can go back to the options page, right? On Prettier, just scroll down, and there we have it, right? So this option is the one that I want to use. So you can see it says indent lines with tabs instead of spaces. That's exactly what I want. It'll tell you by default it's set to false, and we know this because by default it's set to indent with spaces. And it's going to give us the syntax here. So that's the option, and then we can toggle it with a Boolean value, which is basically just means true or false. So let's head back over to Prettier. And what we do is open and close your curly brackets. I mean, your double quotes. And wait, what was that? What did it say it was again? Use tabs. So here we will type in use tabs, and nice thing about VS Code is it'll fill in a lot of those formats for you, or it'll autocomplete those lines for you. And so you just click on it and set to false. So we're going to change that to true, right? Save that file. And now if we go back to our index file, we don't have to right click and say format with save because we changed the settings. Now we just hit save. So Control S and bada boom, right? It has indented my code, but this time with tabs instead of space bars. William asks, can't we do the configurations directly from Prettier extension settings instead of this new file yourself? You can. You can do that with some of the settings, not all of them, but it's better to do it via this file, and I'll explain why in a minute. Right? But before we get there, let's just do one more configuration, right? So you can see how Prettier, what it's doing is, this was all one line, right? But it's formatted it so that to make it more readable, it's put it across multiple lines instead of one, which is fine. I mean, if you like it like that, it's cool. If you want to customize it, you have that option. Personally, I like the idea, but I feel like it's making the lines too short, right? So it's spanning too many lines, more lines than it really needs to for this type of project. So I want to change that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to JSON. I'm into this prettier.json file. Let's head over to this options tab. And if I remember correctly, it is the first option. Yeah, there we are, print width. So print width is going to set the maximum length of the line, right? And it's by default, it's set to 80. And here is the syntax here. So print width, and we provide an integer, which is just a whole number. So we can head back here. Now, one important thing with JSON is at the end of a line, if you're going to add a second line, you need to add a comma, right? If there's only one line, you don't need to add the comma. In fact, it'll result in an error if you do. But since we are adding a second line, we need to add that comma. So we're going to say print width. It's going to fill in the default value of 80. I want to change that to, let's just say 120, right? And so now if I come back, save, bam, it's adjusted my code to now make the line, the maximum length of the line a little bit longer. And this is how I prefer it. And that's just two of the possible customizations you have when it comes to Prettier. This page is quite extensive. This wiki is quite extensive with the number of options you can have. There's even some that are specific to certain languages that you're using. So go through it once you install Prettier and see how you can customize things the way you want. But the default option will basically have most of the things you want. Just if there's certain things you're not happy with that you find is a little bit difficult to read or annoying here and there, you are free to completely customize it. Now, why is it better to have your customizations within this file instead of doing it from the settings? One is different projects might need different formatting, especially if you're working with different languages, right? So if anyone who's doing one of the IT Varsity courses, you'll be using multiple languages, right? So first is going to be HTML and CSS. Then there's going to be JavaScript, right? For anyone who enrolled in some of the later qualifications, you're going to end up specializing in either Java, Python, or React, right? All of those are different platforms which have different syntaxes and different best practice formatting. So by creating this file per project, what you can do is customize the styling for every single project you're working with. And if you want to use the same styling across multiple projects, you can just copy and paste this file as is into your next project folder, and the exact same the exact same formatting will apply. But that's actually a secondary reason. There's a primary reason, right? Um, And actually, I don't want to give it away just yet. I want to see if you guys can think of why it's better to have this format file in your project folder instead of in the settings, right? Think about it for a minute. Think larger than yourself, right? Why would it be better to have it as a file along with your project files instead of in your settings living on your machine only? 10 out of 10, William. 10 points to Gryffindor. Because of GitHub, right? So this file is going to get synced to GitHub. And this is particularly useful if you're working with multiple people on the same project, right? Because people will have different ways of formatting. So every time they create a file or edit a file and then resync it to GitHub, it's going to have slightly different formatting than what you or any other member of that team is going to do. So by having this file synced with your project files, it's going to sync the format in with across everyone, right? So everyone who commits a change on GitHub is going to commit the exact same formatting. And that's incredibly useful because, look, I have two brothers, right? I prefer to indent, for example, with tabs. My older brother prefers space bars. And my younger brother, who isn't really into coding all that much, doesn't really do formatting at all when he codes. And so if the three of us are working on a project together, it's going to be a mess. But if we're working now with Prettier and we have this JSON file set up, that's not a problem anymore. We can all work on our projects, do the formatting in the way we want, but whenever we save and commit, um, Prettier will take care of the rest. So that's why it's a better practice to have it have your formatting options configured in a file that is synced with the rest of your project files. It also just makes it a lot easier to edit because you're going to have all of your options, even if you have 10 or up to 20 configuration options here, it's all going to be in this one place. In the settings, there's going to be multiple places that you're going to have to go to, and it could be a bit tricky to find them at certain times. Keenan asks, what languages and frameworks will we be learning in the App Academy? And will we get a certificate at the end of the program? So this year, the App Academy is centered around React. So using the React framework to build front-end applications. Towards the end of it, in the last, I think, 3 weeks or so, there's I forgot what it's called now, but it's an extension of React that allows you to add a bit of back-end functionality to your apps as well. And yes, there is a certificate of completion at the end of the App Academy when it's done. Uh, Keenan, if I remember correctly, did you do Python or Java? Can't exactly remember, but yeah, it would be you did the Python, lovely. So yeah, definitely attend this. It's you can then add some React training to your portfolio as well. Um, and it's something you can add to the CV. You're gonna get a certificate, so you add that to your CV as well. Lovely. All right, perfect. Cool. We'll see you then. We'll post for further updates on the Slack as they come in. Um, cool. Um, Oh, William says, I received an email regarding the Slack virtual campus being active again, as well as a whole lot of rewards, etc. Can you please explain what this is all about in detail? We're still actually finalizing a lot of the details around that, but I'm really excited to share that with you guys. So maybe be another email, or in next week's webinar, we'll get into that in all of the juicy details. I'm gonna leave you in suspense with that one for a little bit. Cool. All right. See, we got a little bit more time, so let me just show you one final plugin that I highly recommend you get. This one doesn't require much configuring. It's pretty much plug and play, but it's quite a pretty plugin to have. It's very handy. So this one is called the Material Icons plugin. This is the one here, by Philip Keefe. Now, what that is going to do is it's going to change the icons of your files to more appealing, more descriptive icons. So once you install it, just go over to your settings. I'm going to search on, you're just going to search a theme icon or icon theme, sorry. And this first option here. So it'll be set to the VS Code's default theme for plugins. Just change it to the material icon theme that you've just installed. And you'll see it'll automatically change everything here instantly. Let me just expand this a little bit so you can get a better view. And you'll notice that there's a few different icons that have appeared, right? So the CSS now has the CSS3 icon, HTML files have the HTML5 icons, the zip folder has a different icon. Funnily enough, even for this prettier JSON file that we created, it's changed from the default JSON icon to a icon that's unique to prettier, because that's, this is a very unique type of JSON file. So it's quite an extensive plugin. And the thing I really like about it, what sets it apart to other icon themes for me is the folder options, right? So this is just a basic, by the way, the default VS Code theme doesn't even have icons for folders. It's just that little drop-down arrow, that this one over here on the side. When you add the plugin, it'll add icons for your folders, but it'll also customize that icon based on the nature of that folder. So, and the title of the folder as well. So you can see this is the default folder icon, right? It looks pretty plain, but the one above it, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but because it's called images and it has all of our images in it for this project, it customized that folder icon to have this little image icon. It's the same thing, right? When you create folders for your JavaScript files, or if you're working with React and you have React files and folders, it's going to customize those folders to have this unique icon. So it makes it extremely readable, extremely visually appealing and aesthetic. And I don't know, practicality, it might not really have any uses, but I think it just makes your work environment look a whole lot better. And you'll see even at the top of your window, the different tabs for your projects, they will also have those unique icons added in. So it's quite a lightweight plugin, costs nothing to have, but I think it just improves the overall appeal of your coding environment. Cool. I think that's all the time we have for this session. I'm glad we got to go through prettier today. I'm glad it actually cooperated. But that's just the thing with these projects, right? They just don't really cooperate. Um, Next week, I believe, along with discussing some of the things that William mentioned up there, I believe we're going to have a guest joining us, which I'm pretty excited about. And then after that, I want to get into some plugins and tools that are going to be unique to each of the specializations. So if you're specialized in Python, I'm going to talk about some unique tools and plugins that you can use for Python development, for Java, and then for React as well. So stay tuned for that. I think that was Keenan. Keenan, if I remember correctly, you suggested that last week. So yeah, in the upcoming weeks, we'll start going through some of those. Okay, let me just take a look at the chat. So if you have any questions, please do let me know. I'll take a few minutes to go through the chat before we close off for today. Uh, Okay, William asked, just something on my mind. Are the certificates that have been released on the CETA a digital copy or the original one that we've been waiting for months? So it's actually the digital ones, but not the IT Varsity digital ones that you've all seen before. This is the official protected digital copy of the MICT's certificate. Uh, they They've been forwarded for printing as well, so we're gonna get those hopefully soon. But for now, at least we have gotten the official certified NQF5 certificate from the MICT CETA that we can send out to everyone. It's quite a pretty design as well. If you receive yours, just have a look at that. The actual physical hard copies, we'll still wait for those. But for us, being an online institute, distribution-wise, it's a lot easier to handle the digital ones, and we can send it to everyone instantly. And it's not like the IT Varsity certificate of completion that you get when you complete all of the assessments on the POE, right? It's different to that one. This is from the CETA. Yeah, exactly, William. The digital copy is a lot better than nothing, especially because some of the students have been waiting for quite a long time, right? And we tried to help out as much as we could with the IT Varsity certificate and the statement of results that we generate. But it's not the same thing as having your official MICT certified certificate that's, authorized by the South African Qualifications Authority. So at least now we have that and we can send it out to them. Are these digital ones only for ITV students, or will it be all students from institutions who are still waiting? So as far as I know, it was just a few institutes, right? It's not something that's generally done. In fact, with our previous batches, we never even needed that because we got our physical ones. But because of this huge delay that they were having with the printing, we specifically requested that we wanted at least digital copies so we have something to send through to our students. And so we put a little bit of pressure to get those at least verified quickly so we can send them out. And that's why we got ours. There's a few other institutes who did the same, but by default, they'll be waiting for the physical ones. Yeah, a big special round of applause to VJ. She had a big role in making that happen and getting our certificates. And hopefully now we're not going to have such a long delay anymore. Hopefully we can get our certificates to us at regular intervals instead of having to wait such a long time and then get one big batch all at once. So I'm hoping that we have some positive momentum now with them, and we can keep that going with all of our certificates. Are there plans for virtual graduation? Yes, there is. So with now that we have our actual certificates from the CETA, we can see if we can get a few more from the current batch. So, Keenan, Tawfiq's, there was a few other students that completed within the latter half of last year. We want to see if we can get all of their certificates done and do a virtual graduation. Uh, Live graduations, our students are a little bit scattered across the country because we're online. So I'm not too sure if we can do that. Uh, Job placements, that's also a high priority for VJ at the moment. So that's something else that she's putting a lot of emphasis for into getting some of these organizations that we're working with set up again and have a proper process now with them so that our students, as soon as they pass a certain point in the course, we send over their details to be placed. A lot of your details have already been sent through, but we're just working with them now on formalizing a process. but hopefully we'll see some results with that. You know, we got VJ working on it, and she's been very helpful wherever she has put in that kind of effort. So I'm feeling positive about that. I see Tawfiq didn't join us today. I'm not sure if he's shared with you guys, but he's actually got an internship position at a company in Cape Town. Uh, I think last week he had emailed, um, which I was really happy, especially because it's Tawfiq. I'm sure each and every one of you are very familiar with Tawfiq. So yeah, that was some really good news also. I'm so sorry I didn't send you that document as yet. I've just been a bit busy lately. I wrote down the main points. I just need to add some content and I'll send it through maybe next week. No problem, William. Take as much time as you need. But even if we want to send through what you have for now, you can do that and we can start analyzing that internally and actioning some of those steps. Um, When it comes to the job placements, eventually what we want to do is have it so that as soon as students finish even module 8, their details already been sent out and we can get some workplace internship positions at the very least. But for now, naturally, we prioritize in the graduates of the qualification programs. Um, so that's just FYI. Keenan, you especially putting a lot of emphasis on trying to get you something. Um, Simply because I mean, not only are you a graduate, but you've also been quite an active participant online. Everyone is very familiar with your face, so I felt it was only fitting. So yeah, we'll be in touch hopefully soon with regards to some of the positions that we come across. Will there be a webinar tomorrow? Yes, the digital entrepreneurship webinar is scheduled for tomorrow. Uh, I believe there's a guest speaker as well. Huge shout out to Keenan. Yes, huge shout out to Keenan. Uh, Guys, we take notice of all of these things, and we really appreciate it. And y'all's names come up behind the scenes a lot more than than you guys realize. Um, and not just Kieran, but yourself as well, William. People like Tawfiq. I don't think she's in this meeting, in this webinar, but there's Musfira, who's actually a student from Zambia. Um, Students who go above and beyond and are active, engaging on the Slack channels, in the webinars. We take notice of you guys. And we'll try to send it, that positive karma background to you guys. And so for those of you who aren't as active or a little bit shy on the Slack, hopefully that's some motivation for you guys to, just step out, engage a little bit on the Slack, invite everyone else to join in the webinars. Just be active because it makes you more visible. William says, I've noticed the support team is really leveling up. Ah, that's a relief, and that's so good to hear from you guys. Again, a lot of pressure has been put on them over the past couple of weeks. There's been some new team members that have joined us. And again, behind the scenes, we've had VJ working with them to really ramp up on support, on response times, on response quality as well. So, I'm glad that you guys are noticing, and I will definitely pass on that comment to them. I'm sure they'll really appreciate it. To it will make them feel better about the type of pressure they've been under. Guys, and yes, William, there's a new support staff that has joined us, Nombulelo. She's also an ex-IT Varsity graduate. And back in the day, she was part of a volunteer support team as well. So it was very fitting to get her back on board, but this time in a full-time capacity. So you'll see her name on the Slack as well a lot more. Okay, and with that, guys, I'll leave it. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you all next week, same time. But until then, have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye, everyone.